Welcome everyone to Wealth Talk. This Wealth Talk podcast is a podcast for us to get insight from people who are experienced in wealth. And wealth is well-being. There's a Focus 11 as shared in the map book, 11 aspects that we focus on in life to create wealth, right? And as you go in the program, you learn more, you'll know more about the Focus 11. But a few of those aspects are business, financial, relationship, and contribution. And Dhruv Miglani is here with us today, and he actually has specialized in that. I've known him for quite a good time, and he's a good person. And I wanted to have him here on our Wealth Talk. This is actually our first episode that we're doing for Wealth Talk podcast. Dhruv, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Richard. I'm really excited.
Yes. So, and Dhruv, you actually been involved with over 100 flips in properties. Right? Mm-hmm. So first, before we get into all of that, I want to go back. Where were you born? What was it like growing up? Tell us a little bit more about the history.
So I was born in India.
Okay.
I was about 13 years old when we moved to Canada, and made it our home. Mm-hmm. Before coming to Canada, I was still I grew up in a boarding school. Yeah. So that's when a lot of learning came in, where I was very independent. Mm-hmm. Where your parents are not really there in a boarding school to take care of you, and you gotta learn on your own. Yeah. Waking up in the morning, getting dressed out, making sure.
How old are you at this time?
So I would say 7 or 8 when I went to boarding school.
Okay.
So that was for about 4 or 5 years, and so that taught me a lot of things, in terms of just learning things and just being independent. Mm-hmm. And
boarding school is kind of like military little base house where you have to get up, fix your bed, and do certain things like in order, kind of.
Yeah, somewhat, right? Where you are basically responsible for your actions. Mm-hmm. And your teachers are there, but it's like you're growing up with just friends around you. Mm-hmm. And you're learning from each other and just growing out in that kind of environment, right? So that's how it started off.
And how long were you there for?
I was there about 4 to 5 years.
Okay.
So
till about 12 years old?
Yeah, okay. Up till 12 or 13.
Okay.
So right after that, we moved to Canada.
Oh, wow. Okay, so while you were in boarding school, were you staying at boarding school, or you're going back and forth to home, or?
So going to home was once a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So majority of the time we would just spend with being in the boarding school and just staying there.
Oh, wow. Okay, and then after the boarding school, you came straight to Canada?
Yeah.
So okay, talk a little more about that. What happened there?
So basically, my parents, they applied to visit, to be in Canada. Mm-hmm. And they put an application back in year 2000. Mm-hmm. So they really didn't hear back from from the government of Canada up to 8 years after that.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of they even forgot about it, that they even applied.
Okay.
So it came around 2008 where it came to a point where they came to know about all the immigration stuff, and they're like, okay, you know what, let's give it a shot. At the time, my dad was already running a business in India, and it was a very tough decision for my family to make a move from where we were already established. Mm-hmm. Going back to my family history, my great grandfather, and basically centuries ago, they were always been in business. Okay. So it's from a business family, well-established family, moving into basically you're setting up a new foundation to a different country. Yeah. It was a very different experience, even for my parents. Leaving behind their family and friends, and for us, for me and my brother, it was a lot more easier because we were already in a boarding school, so it was we're still kids, right? For us, it was easy, but at the same time, moving into a country where language is different,
Yeah.
Cultural values are different and things like that. It was tough in the beginning, but then we came at such a young age that it was okay for us to adjust.
So you said your dad was running a business in India, and then you guys moved over here, and it took 8 years for the process. And so, why would your dad want to make that move? I'm curious, if he had it established in India, why did he want to come to Canada?
I mean, there were a lot of reasons. From just my dad has always been a visionary.
Okay.
So he was thinking in a way where how it's going to turn around for the future generations, because the way things are moving in India, no doubt we love our country and everything, but just a lot of things didn't make sense. Just the crime that was going on, and
even the population, there's probably a lot of people there, so a lot of the same businesses are going on.
Business wise, it was good for us, but in terms of having the quality of life wasn't there. That's how I would break it, break it down to. The quality of life wasn't there, where if for future generations, it's not that great of a place.
Yeah, there's less opportunity. Over here, there's more opportunity. So as it grows, you guys are more established here, because it's still young in Canada.
Yeah, right? So you have a lot more opportunities here versus back home now. And that was one of the reasons for them to move.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now you guys leave boarding school, and then your parents say, okay, we're going to Canada, this new country. Yeah. Right. And India, I think, is a good climate. It's nice weather there, right?
I mean, where I'm from the capital. Okay. It's New Delhi, and it's a lot different out there. Yeah. Because from different parts of the country, people tend to come to Delhi, or there's another place called Mumbai.
Okay, I heard of Mumbai.
So those are the two most important places.
Yeah, the capital is kind of like downtown Toronto.
Exactly. So all the jobs are there. All the money is basically in the capital, or Mumbai, and then just a couple of other major cities. Yeah. So it just got so crowded out there that there's not. The traffic is really bad. Yeah. The commute for a 10 minutes drive in Canada is 2 hours in India. Yeah. And the weather, of course, is a big challenge in India, where it's very hot.
Yeah, exactly.
It reaches around 50 degrees in India. I don't know if you've...
No, I'm from Ghana, man, so over there it's hot too, but I love the hot weather, but over here it's kind of you have your cold weather, so I'm sure you guys never had no winter clothes or anything like that.
We never had winter. I didn't see snow before moving to Canada, so it was everything was just new to us.
Did you loved it, or was oh man,
first, I would say first 2 years it wasn't very easy for us to adjust to the weather, of course. But eventually we got used to it. Obviously you have jackets and everything to cover up, and so things like that.
So when you moved here from India, your dad, was he still doing a business in India, or did he set up a business here, or did he work here? What was the transition? How did you guys make that shift?
So basically, coming back to how it started off, my family's been in business for centuries, right?
And that's all you know, pretty much.
Pretty much. So all the stuff that comes in, and for me to know what I know today is passed down from generations to generations, right? Back in India, my grandfather started off a transportation business. Before that, I'm not too sure about my great-grandfathers, what they were doing, but from my grandfather, it started off where he started off a transportation company, and it was running really, really well. It was a very well-known name in the market. They created a very good name in the market, where my grandfather started off with his brother. And then I would say about 10-15 years after that, when my father was ready, he didn't really want to get into the family business.
Okay.
Where, you know, I mean, we are all at that stage in our lives, right? We're like, no, we want to start.
Yeah, you want to do your own. Yeah, exactly.
Then take over our family business, and sometimes your personal interest is not there, right? I mean, and things like that. So, my grandfather kind of like pushed my dad to get into it, but my dad was kind of like hesitant. Like,
okay, yeah, it wasn't his thing, right?
Yeah, it wasn't his thing. So he, around like the age of 17, 18, he started learning some business of some store, like some people who were selling. So basically, he wanted to get into manufacturing of cable wire.
Okay.
And to learn more about the business, I mean, he was at that point. My grandfather was already very popular.
Yeah.
So people knew
who he
was, and he had a good networking. But my dad wanted to go in and learn about the trade, like just nobody, right?
Okay.
Rather than people saying, "Oh, he is."
Yeah. Oh, this guy's son.
Miglani family, and then you know people would be hesitant to teach things, right?
Yeah.
They wouldn't be very open, and so my dad started off with that, where you know he basically worked in a store, learning about how basically the product is sold, what are the consumers looking at, and you know just learning about the product and the market, right?
Yeah.
And this was like at the age of 16, 17. So by the time he turned 18, 19, he was very confident about you know his idea and how he wanted to get into manufacturing of this cable wire.
Yeah.
And so he borrowed some money from my grandfather and my grandmother, and he basically put out a factory.
Okay.
Which was doing really amazing. He made tons and tons of money.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my grandfather was struggling with his transportation business because he was expanding also rapidly at the same time, and you know he needed help.
Yeah.
So and at the same time, my dad was also facing some challenges in terms of like you know receiving the payments from the client, and it wasn't on time, and where a lot of traveling was involved for him. So that was like he was pretty much all over India when his product was getting sold out.
Yeah.
His target audience was pretty much all over India.
Okay.
Sorry, India. So
yeah.
That's why I mean it was hard for him to like manage that part as well. So he was making the money, but at the same time,
too much of his time was involved.
He was losing on the family.
Yeah.
Like the family time, the bonding time that you need to have with your family.
Yeah.
So he came back. And helped my grandfather with his business. At the time, it was already like 20 years in the business for my grandfather. Okay. So my dad came in, and I mean, with his knowledge and you know, with his vision, he took it to the next level.
Okay.
Where let's say my grandfather was making $100 a day. Or $100 a truck, you know, in transportation in the business.
By the truck,
He was like times 10.
Wow.
So you know, he was very smart with like you know, in those business strategies, and you know, making the business just you know grow to another level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean that's how it started off, and then
he took that up. Is that what he was doing up until you guys moved to Canada, or he got into anything?
So after that, what he did was after running the transportation business, he was getting such a good cash flow that he was really passionate about real estate from day one.
Okay.
But you know, he didn't have the money at the early stage to invest in real estate.
Okay.
But then once he turned around like 20, 25, I would say, he was making good bucks, right?
Okay.
Especially from his previous business, he had made good money.
Yeah.
And then also from the transportation business, a lot of cash flow was coming in.
Yeah.
So he thought, you know, what do I do with this money? I mean,
it's there.
I'm sitting on racks. What do I do? Like, right? So his friends and his like our family friends were already in real estate, where they were doing either investments or they were either you know doing developments and stuff like that.
Okay.
So my dad got into it with a good chunk of money, which he had saved up years
from all
and years,
all the business,
right? All the businesses, and He took that and then he started investing in real estate.
Okay.
I mean, one thing that I've learned from my dad is, and there's a saying, you should never wait to buy real estate. You should buy real estate and wait. So I mean, I know the importance of that because my dad has built his portfolio around that.
And you've seen the result of it.
Of course, I mean, so I mean, once that was all done, he started investing in real estate. He took it to the next level after, I would say, 10 years.
So what was he invested in, like homes, like business?
So he started off
commercial.
He started off with homes and commercial stuff as well, like a mix of both the things.
Okay.
Where he invested, I believe, in a couple of parcels of land, and he basically converted them into like commercial. Either commercial buildings or either commercial other stuff that he was running. He was running some businesses off his land as well.
Okay, because when you buy the land, you have to maintain it or do something on it. So he was doing something on the land.
He put something called weigh scale.
Okay.
On some of his land.
Okay.
Where it was like it was paying him cash flow.
Okay.
Because he was running a transportation business.
Yeah.
Weighing scale was a necessity.
On the land that he had.
Exactly. It was a necessity for trucks to be measured, like, to make sure.
For the certain weight. For the
exactly.
Shipping, So he put them on that land, the weight scales.
Exactly. Which was close by to the
transportation
areas. And he basically used that land for another venture.
Yeah, that goes back to you talk about the visionary, because not everyone will see that. You see the land is okay.
So he's making money on the appreciation, the value of the land going up, and at the same time he's running a business from it, which is paying him cash flow every day, pretty much.
Nice.
And that's how it started off, and then eventually got to he got full-fledged into real estate. While transportation business was also running on the side, paying off, the bills and everything, and that was kind of like cash coming in, and just paying off the bills. So a bigger chunk was coming in from the real estate side, where a majority of it would just get saved up, and then he would save up from a few properties, and then buy a big parcel of land, and then develop it, sell it, and then take out the cash again, and then put it into 2 different projects, right? So that's how it took off, basically, for him.
Yeah, and even with you saying that right now, it shows that you had an eye on your dad all this time, because you know everything. So I'm sure it was like the whole same time while he was doing that, he was mentoring you at the same time.
So again, I mean, one thing is, I'm sure, Richard, you can relate to that, is your kids learn a lot from you. How you talk, how you act, how you are around people, and they pick on those things. So that was one thing that, a lot of the stuff that I learned from was from my dad. Skipping the part where I was in boarding school, that was more for more independent. It was for us to it was in a different way to help us in a different way.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, when we moved here, my dad was still running his business from back home. So there was a lot of traveling involved, and so it was just me, my dad, it was me, my brother, and my mom.
Okay.
That were here in Canada, and my dad would be just traveling back and forth between India and Canada.
Nice.
Because his business was still running there. And he didn't, just shut off anything.
Yeah, of course.
Because at the end of the day,
that's what was feeding the bills, right?
And then
when you came in,
things were to be paid out, right? So yeah, that's
okay. So he was going back and forth, and then you guys were here, right? And you guys live where? Like you guys live in a house? Or?
So how it started off is when we first came to Canada, we lived in a basement.
Okay.
And we were never really embarrassed about it. Because some people, especially coming from a good family. We had houses.
Exactly. Over there, people are known and everything like that.
And then servants that were serving us, and things like that. Like from that environment to like moving into a basement and like shoveling snow ourselves. It was something new to us. But one thing that I learned from my dad was, if you have to do something, just do it, right? Given the situation we were in, we could not bring in a servant from India
No, exactly.
and buy a house here and just say, okay, you know what, we're gonna still live in that same lifestyle.
Because it was unknown. You guys just came here, didn't know what was going on.
But that's something that my dad has already always taught us, where to be humble and adjust to the environment. That's the most important thing. If there's no chair to sit on and you're used to eating dinner on a chair and a nice dining table, you gotta learn how to sit on a floor too at some point in your life. You can't say you're gonna always have that mindset that I'm always gonna be that
exactly, because if you're thinking that way too, and then if you get to that level and you get that little down, then you'll be exactly.
Right? And also like in our case, from having servants serving us food, having chefs making food for us, to all of a sudden my mom cooking the food.
Okay.
And then we living in a basement. Where we barely get sunlight, right? So those were the days, right? I mean,
for sure.
We never really bothered our dad about we want to live in a big mansion and move us out of here, or even though he could afford a home at that point. But again, like one of the things that I learned from him during this whole thing is that you should test the water, and don't test the water with both your feet in. So nice. He wanted to test Canada.
Test it, makes sense.
In a way where does it make sense for him to move here, or is it still better off living in India? So he didn't buy a place and invested heavily all of a sudden. He just wanted to test out that. I like
that analogy. Still test the water, just visualize. You can see, you put your foot inside the water, test it, see it. If it's nice,
does it make sense?
Exactly.
More for us to know, is it going to be worth for us to live here? And if we would be able to even adjust to this environment. Right? Fortunately, we did, and we loved it. It took us 2 years, I would say, to make that adjustment.
Okay.
We were fine.
2 years. So let's break down that 2 years, right? Because there could be viewers and listeners that are listening, and they are currently living in a basement apartment, right? Because and that's the one thing that a message I want to get across is that it's everything's a mindset. Everything is awareness, consciousness. The information that you share, can help someone go through that same transition where they're in that basement. So that 2 years, talk to me about that.
Okay, so 2 years, my dad is still traveling back and forth. My mom, she got a job. She was working, I believe, at a grocery store. And me and my brother, we were still in high school. And then, we knew we weren't going to be in the basement forever. Because we had a little strong background from back home. But at the same time, that kind of motivated us to for me and my brother to do something as well.
Take things serious.
Take things seriously. But we were still young, right? We were still you want to be around your friends, and you don't have that mindset of doing business and all that stuff. But not, I would say that 2 years, but after that 2 years period where was more important in my life than any, or 3 years, I would say. Than that 2 years. We were trying to help our mom out here and there, but then when I got to the age of 17, 18, when I got my when I got my driver license, I was able to, that was the hustling time. So how I started off is I remember we bought a truck, a construction truck. And what my dad was doing, he was doing construction. He got into flipping. So he was doing that, and then at the same time, I was helping my dad out with construction sites and everything.
So flipping over here. So he got a property.
So basically, he made that decision of okay, you know what? Now everything it makes sense. He ended up buying his. So he didn't know about he wanted to learn more about the businesses that were here. But when he did the research, everything was just so expensive. Gas stations were they were out of the range and things like that. So he's like, what can I do? Which I'm passionate about, and at the same time, I have some experience as well. So construction was something that came up. And at that time, he started off with we bought our first home. We were still living in the basement, but we bought our home for the investment purpose
Okay.
to do the flip. Because once you have your business, business will buy you a home. A home will not buy you business.
Exactly.
So that was my dad, right? That he would wanted to start a business first, and then a flipping business was probably the best decision that he made at that point.
Okay.
Where he had the experience and he had the knowledge and he had the vision, and I mean, if you think of it, like, you could grow it to pretty much any level you want. You can flip 100 homes a year if you really want. There's no limitation in that business, right?
Yeah.
So that's what got us. So that's what happened where he made that first purchase.
Okay.
So he had a truck that he also bought for construction purpose.
That's when you got your driver's license, right?
That's when I had the driver's license.
Okay.
So I was helping him out, me and my brother.
So you were pretty much the transport.
We were driving, we were transporting material, unloading, loading trucks.
Yeah.
This is like crazy times, man, in my life where, it's like -30, -20.
Okay.
And you're like, literally, you're carrying stuff in your bare hands and moving the material out of the truck to the sites, right? And this is like hardcore labor stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that was me and my brother doing that, and with my dad, and and then at the same time, what I did was I also wanted to do something on my own, like my dad, how he started off with this factory business, manufacturing business. I was like, what, I want to do something too, right? So I saw some potential with moving business, where people were looking to move from one place to the other, and sometimes it was the short moves where it wasn't a big big move where they're moving the whole house. Sometimes they're people who they're looking to move rental places, and so what I did is I put that truck to use, and in the evening time when the work was done, or some of the days when the work was done out of the construction truck, I would take this truck and find people who were looking to move. Okay. And I'm just hustling, man. I'm like,
nice.
I came to a point where I was making pretty good bucks, like $1,000 a week.
Nice.
Right? It turned around to be $1,000 a week, and then I just hired like 2-3 people, and I would send them out with their truck.
Nice.
And they're doing the job, and I'm here just making 5 bills a week. Right?
Cash flow.
So it's
you see that's the same thing what your dad did with the land. You seen the land, and then he made something out of it, passed on to you. You had a truck, and you made something more with it.
So I mean, it came to a point where I was making like maybe $2,000 a month easily.
Nice.
And without even doing the physical work. It's just it was in an auto mode where things were running on their own. So I mean that's what happened, and then at the same time, around 18, 19, when I was doing this whole hustling thing, hustling movement. My dad was he was growing in flipping business. So one of the challenges that he was facing was that having an honest realtor, because he got cheated off two realtors when he was basically doing the flip, where their personal interest came in the middle, and my dad lost few opportunities because of them. Because there was a flipping project that my dad really wanted to buy, but the realtor actually ended up buying it for himself.
And so he showed it to your dad probably, and
my dad's like, let's put an offer, get the place, and then he kind of like cheated that way, where he bought it for himself, and then he was lying to my dad that no, like it's for someone else, and this and that, right? So long story short, my dad's like, he told me then at that point he told me to get into real estate. Told me to get my real estate license, and I started for it and got my license I would say in a year. And basically started looking for flip homes for him. At that point.
Nice.
So that's how it started off. For me.
So your dad told you go get pretty much. And it's like a family, keep it in. So he knows that you have his best intentions.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's a family business anyways, right? So I mean, that's how it started off for me.
Nice.
To get into the business of real estate.
Nice.
A 19-year-old kid with the real estate license. I was very passionate about real estate anyways because of my dad. And being, obviously coming from a family of like
People are business people who work for themselves and have work on their time, right?
Yeah. So that's how it started off for me to get into real estate.
Okay, so now your dad's doing his flips. So he started the flips before you came in, and then obviously now that you're a realtor, you probably even have more. You see more opportunities to flip and things. So is that how the flipping thing started? So 1 to 2. So how did you get from the 1 to the second to the third? And
it was, first project I remember. He didn't make a lot of money, but the experience he got from the first project was probably the most important thing, because some things you can't learn off based upon just spending money.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. You have to
sometimes it's other things as well that are part of it. So one of the things that my dad always tells me is that learn from other people's mistake, but then he didn't have anyone to learn from. He didn't have anyone who was already flipping homes at that point and kind of like learn from people's mistakes.
Yeah. So
he had to get into it.
Yeah.
To see what are the strategies, what are the pros, what are the cons, and how a successful flip is done, right? So, but first project, because he believed in numbers.
Yeah.
He didn't take a hit. He didn't take a loss.
Okay.
It was a profit. It wasn't much, probably like a couple of $1,000s.
Yeah.
I would say like $5,000, not even maybe. But the experience that he got out of it was huge.
Okay, and for the people that are listening and don't know what a flip is, can you just go a little bit more detail with a flip?
Yeah. So basically, flipping homes is, it's like you buy a place. It could be either gutted out, it needs renovations and everything, and then you come in, you buy it for the right price.
Yeah.
You renovate it, and you sell it for the market value price. So and you walk away with a profit. I will share like a couple of strategies that we use or that I would suggest people getting into this business because it's an amazing business to be in.
Yeah.
People who are working in 9-to-5 jobs can also do this.
Yeah.
But there's certain requirements that come in.
And of course, it's always good for them to have someone to hold their hand through the process. Like you said, your dad didn't have anybody, but like you given at least insight or someone going to someone who's an expert or something like that and guide them through it, then it makes it an easier experience. And then from there, obviously, they know more. Yeah. Right? But what's the turnaround time though? When you buy it, you renovate it, and you sell it. Like say that for example, that first one, you said you didn't make too much. But what was the turnaround time from when you bought it and then sold it?
So the first project we did, it took us about, I would say, 6 months.
Okay.
Because the timing was, we bought it in like November-ish time.
Okay.
And then finding the right people to work on the house was a challenge.
Because winter time, right?
Like not even that, because we were new in the business, so we didn't know who to trust.
Oh, okay.
Who are the renovators? Who do we go? Like who's the tile guy who's gonna fix the tiles?
Okay.
Who's the guy who's gonna make the basement? Who's the tile? Like all those things. Yeah. So we didn't have a proper team. So first project, it took us about 6 months to to work around the timeline. But after that, once we knew like the whole concept.
Yeah.
It took us about now it takes roughly about 3 to 4 months for us to flip.
Nice.
But each project is different.
Of course.
So I've had flips where I sold it literally a month or 15 days, I would say.
Wow.
Like from buying to renovation time to selling it and getting the money back. Like it wasn't even like more than, I would say, 20 days, 25 days max.
Wow.
So it all depends on the project that you pick.
Yeah, exactly.
There are projects which could take about a year to finish depending on the work, but you could walk away with a good chunk of money, right?
Yeah.
But it all depends. Each project is different. There's no set timeline for, but our target is usually 3 to 4 months. We need to get the place renovated and sell it out.
3 to 4 months. That's your timeline.
We try to go with that timeline.
But someone, if it's their first time or something, you would say maybe 5 to 6 months, or it doesn't. I guess it varies, right?
It could take longer period of time for someone who doesn't know what they're doing, for them to figure out. But then one of the things that I'll suggest them do is that work with a professional.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't like learn from other people's mistakes. So for example, we are already doing this business for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
And we know how it works.
Yeah.
Right. So we know what are the strategies, what are the points that you need to focus on. And you know,
get the profit. When you said work with a professional, that's something that, you know, caught my attention as well, because you said when you guys had the first home, you didn't know who does tiles, you didn't know who does other things, so you were working with professionals. Because I know some people, when they do flips, they try to do it themselves, right? They try to do like the floor themselves, the tile themselves. So you guys from the beginning were looking for professionals. Explain that more. Why is that?
So one of the things that we believe in with our Miglani group is that we believe in quality and the workmanship, right? So quality has to be there, whether it's the product that you're whether it's with the material or whether it's the labor. Both of them have to be good in order for you to get good results.
Return.
Because if you end up spending, let's say, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on the renos, and if they're not done professionally, you won't get the money that you're looking for, right? So there could be no profit. You could lose out on that profit, right? And these things, it pays off in the end, right? Like if you have someone professional doing the work versus you trying to do the flooring, and it's like all over the place.
And it's a noticeable difference.
100%.
I know, for sure.
People know, and it could see you could end up actually losing more that way, because one, you might have to do that work again. The time you're losing to do that work, because you're spending double the time now.
Right? Exactly.
Doing it first time and doing it second time. Right? And then the cost would go up because the materials is getting wasted. Right? So all those things, they matter. At the end of the day, people, if the workmanship is there and if the work is good, people pay. People pay for that. Right?
It's true. It translates. So that's your tip on working professional, which makes a lot of sense. You get professional work done, and then you're going to get the best return from the professional work.
100%,
Definitely.
100%.
Okay, so now you guys talk to me, because I know you said you had some tips. You had some tips that you want to share and things like that. So I want to give that information. And I'm actually soaking it in as well. You know, I'm in the real estate industry. I've dealt with flips, you know, for clients. You know, none personally. I have some investment properties, but not actual flips. So break it down to us. Like share your information.
So the most important thing I would say when it comes to like flipping homes is that work with an expert. Work with someone who already is doing this business, or they have done it in the past and they have tons and tons of experience. Because experience, it matters. It matters in any field. And you want to learn from the expert where they have made those mistakes and you're learning off them. Right? So myself and my dad and my brother, we are in the business of especially working with the investors, where you know they could be either in a different business, and what we do is we're still doing flips for them, making sure you know their projects are running good. You know, it's basically their projects are running worry free, whether they're at the site.
For them, it's more just an investment in terms of the work and everything that's being done behind the scenes. You guys are
doing that. So most important thing I would say is work with an expert who knows what they're doing. So finding the right real estate agent is probably the most important thing when it comes to flipping homes. Second thing that I would personally say is that you gotta know the numbers. You gotta know the numbers when you sit down with your realtor. You have to see what you have and what you need. So for example, what are the funds that you have that you could play around with, and what is actually what you need when it comes to flipping. So you know, numbers you have to sit down with the realtor and go through the numbers that, okay, you know what, I only have $100,000 to play around with. Can I do the flip? Probably not, because you need the rental costs. You need the other stuff that needs to be paid out, you know, your closing costs. And there you know, other tips and tricks that come in play where you know every single dollar matters when it comes to flipping. So a lot of people lose out on the at the beginning of the flip is where they put 10% down, they're borrowing another 10% or other money from other sources and paying off heavy interest. So if you don't have the right amount from day one, it's not going to work out. It's not going to be a profitable flip, it's not going to be a profitable flip. So numbers have to be right. And third most important thing is I would say buying for the right price. And again, your realtor plays a huge role when it comes to buying it for the right price. So if a property is not worth what and you're paying a price for it, in the long run you're cutting down your profit, or you're either not gonna make any profit, or you're probably gonna take a hit from day one. So your buying has to be right. It has to be undervalued. Where you have the room to play around with the numbers. When you're ready to spend the money onto the house, on the renos, you have to make sure it's going to cover up all that cost, plus your closing costs, plus your selling costs. Because a lot of people forget about they probably don't know what they're going to be paying at the end, right? There's realtor costs, there's lawyer costs, and all that stuff. So
you have to include all the fees, everything.
All that stuff has to be, I would say it has to be there. So price is another third most important thing. Location is, I would say, also very important, because you need to target a market where you need to target certain audience. So you need to see which home is good for flipping. So for example, you have to see the demand. So for example, in Brampton right now, a semi-detached or a townhouse or even a detached home under 750, 800 is a very good opportunity for people. That's what they're looking for to buy.
Exactly.
So you don't want to go for a bigger project where there's less demand. You have to go with the demand projects, like people where they're looking to buy.
That price point.
That price point. So location and that goes hand in hand. Where,
for sure.
You're not targeting Lakeshore, Mississauga, Norton Park, Port Credit, where the homes are worth like $2-3 million.
Exactly.
Because if you're going for those locations, you need much more money to play around with, and it's just as you get into that ball, like that
there's
price
less
range,
demand,
there are less buyers.
Exactly.
So go with the properties which are in highly demand, right? And I would say after that, having the right team is another main thing. Where you have the renovators, you have the right lawyers, you have the mortgage people in its place, right? Having basically the whole team to make sure that your process is done smooth, like everything is done smoothly, right? Like from buying to selling, you gotta make sure your team is the right team.
For sure. And I will also add in, like, having someone in any of those fields helps. Like, me myself, I have all of those, like, lawyers, mortgage brokers. I have those for my clients if they don't have already, so I'm sure you do as well. So if you have a professional that you're working with, see who their network is, but also obviously you want to make sure that you gel with whoever their network is as well, right?
Of course. I mean, having the right team is the key for you to be also successful. So when you come to us, Team Miglani, this is one of the things that we do is we give a whole package.
Exactly.
Where if you have the funds and everything from the beginning, like, that's the most important thing, right? Like having the funds.
Exactly.
So if you have the funds, just leave everything on us. We have the team. We know the right projects, where to invest, and one of the things that people make mistake when it comes to flipping is that they jump too quickly on projects, not knowing these things. They think, oh, it's a good opportunity, it's under market value, and when it comes to selling, they're like, oh shoot, we messed up. Like, it's not it's not the right price. So sixth most important thing is you got to know the number what you're going to sell it for. So you got to do the research, right? What is the potential price you could get from the home when you eventually put it up in the market, because you want to make sure that you're comparable to all the current homes during the time you put it up for sale. You want to make sure that you're all around in that range, right? That's how you would basically get the profit out.
Nice.
So price is at the beginning is the most important thing. You know, location.
So you guys sit down with your clients and you show them all the numbers from the beginning, so they know they know what to expect.
Exactly.
Coming in and going out, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, after almost 100 homes that we have done, probably done more than that, because my dad was also doing flips back home.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, the experience, it matters.
Of course.
And I've seen a lot of even realtors get into it and they fail.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the proper knowledge to even, they think, oh, it's a great deal, and they buy it, but then they look at it and they're like, okay, you know what, we messed up, we overspent the money on the house, and now the value of the property, like, is not there, because they spent so much that, you know, at the end of the day, your home is going to sell around whatever is the genuine price of it, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, people lose a lot of money in this business if they don't know what they're doing, if they don't know who to go with, if they don't have the right team.
Yeah.
These are the most important things. Right?
Like, no, it's true.
Because your realtor plays a very big role.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about flipping homes, because most important job is of the realtor finding the right price, and you know, if they have these people to give you, that's a bonus. Yeah. But buying it for the right price from the beginning is the most important thing. When it comes to flip.
No, for sure. And even talking about the team, right? Because, you know, I'm sure everybody has gone through experience where they met with a contractor and the contractor either did a poor job, or they left the job, or you know, and you know they had somewhere they never fully finished, you know, the work, right? So having the realtor and the experience probably has gone through certain people that do the rentals. Like, I know me, I have my go-to guy who I know if I refer, he's gonna get a good job done, right? So I'm sure you guys have a team like that as well, right?
So obviously it took us about 10 years to, you know, create, because the amount of flips that we're doing, we can't just rely on one team. Yeah. So we have multiple teams that are working for us at this point, where, you know, whether it's our own projects or if it's for our clients, we make sure that, you know, we have a couple of teams available, because how we work is the speed, right? You asked me the you know, the time that it takes for a flip, right? So at that day when we make that purchase, we already line up people to be coming in and making sure that, you know, they're lined up as soon as the closing is done. Half of the stuff is like already done from the time the house is closed. A week pretty much, like 7 days, all the demolition, everything is done. So like the whole place is like ready to be just, you know. Speed is the key when it comes to like, for my dad especially, because the longer you're holding the property, the more it's costing you, right? So that's another thing, you know, that you need to make sure.
The speed, right?
And then again, you mentioned about, you know, having the right team, and that's what we have done in the past, where we have, over the 10 years that we're in the business, we have set up multiple teams to take care of.
So when it comes to the renovations, like, how do you know what needs to be done? Like, you know, because obviously, you know, we know key parts are like the kitchen, the bathroom and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, like, when you go inside a home and you have your project, do you guys strip the whole house? Do you guys just look at key parts of the house? Like,
honestly, it depends. It depends on each project. So not necessarily where each project needs to be done, like, you know, everything needs to be fixed in the place. Like, for example, we picked up this project, like, I think 5 years ago. It was a semi-detached. Literally, we spent about $10,000 and we walked away with a good chunk of money. So it doesn't have to be right where
what was needed in that house, if you just expand?
Honestly, nothing. Because we bought it for the right purchase price. All we did was we put pot lights in. We did some of the backsplash. And I believe deep cleaning of the house. I think we barely spent like $10,000. Like, I think we barely spent $10,000 on the house. And that was like not even. It took us like literally a couple of days to get it renovated and put it back in the market. We walked away with a good chunk of money, right? So
that goes back to the numbers, right?
It goes back to the numbers, and it goes back to not every project needs everything.
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
need to sometimes change the kitchen and the washrooms and all those things. If you bought it for the right price, and if you're giving it even at the livable condition, where people can see themselves living it, you don't need to spend crazy amount of money.
Okay. That's good. But obviously the purchasing, the closing, all those costs, you have to have those costs underway. Like, you know,
100%. That's like the most important thing that we do that we do at the beginning stage. Because you don't want to end up in a situation where they have to get money from another source, and it's costing them additional money, right? So that's the homework that we do from the beginning. That, you know what, you need set amount of funds from day one, and if you don't have those funds, we don't get them in the business, because, you know, we don't want them to end up in a situation where they're gonna take a loss, because everybody works hard for their money, right? So you know, you have to make sure that you know, these people who are getting into the business, they have the funds to get into it. They need a set amount of money to be in the business and be in the game.
No, for sure. No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for, you know, expanding that information, because right now, and even in these times, you know, with COVID, we see, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty, right? So like, let's say for the person that wants to flip right now, right? But then they're hesitant. Like, would you say, okay, do you wait or do you go?
See, I mean, if you look at the graph, nobody has really lost money when it comes to real estate. If you look at the graph from 10 years, people who bought it 10 years ago, their property value is not the same as today's, right? So people who wait to buy real estate are always going to be losers. You should not wait to buy real estate. You should buy real estate and wait, because that's where, you know, if you look at all the billionaires in the world, what do? Like, they have assets. They have physical, you know, assets where they own pieces of land. And, you know, so
don't wait, regardless of what the situation you're saying is, right?
I mean, people are talking about COVID and all that stuff. People, at the end of the day, you still need a home to live in, right? So you're never gonna lose. You're never gonna lose in real estate. You know, if you buy it today and 100 years from now, do you think the prices are gonna be the same?
No,
never.
Exactly.
You're always gonna walk away with a good chunk of money in real estate. So, couple of tips that and advice that I would probably say to the people who are probably getting into flipping business, or rather any business in general, is that one thing that in my life that I realized is that having a mentor was really important, because a mentor can, you know, guide you from his experience and give you that motivation and, you know, all those things. So like, fortunately it was my dad. So I learned a lot of things from him. But make sure you have someone, you know, who you can look up to and learn, and, you know, who you can, you know, who's basically your guide.
Give you guidance and stuff,
guidance throughout, right?
So because I know with the mentor thing, there are some people who want to get a mentor, they want to find a mentor, but you're in a fortunate situation where it was your dad. But what about someone who doesn't have, you know, a figure that's so close to them, but they are seeking that knowledge? Like,
see, mentor doesn't have to be someone from your family, right? It could be someone that you look up to. It could be, you know, in a company where you're working, maybe you have a really good boss that you can learn stuff off, right? That person could be a mentor. You know,
because wherever it is that you have your interest.
If you can't find someone in person, you could always look at motivational videos and online mentors that are there to kind of like guide you through, right? So for sure. That's what it all comes down to. Again, going back to, you know, the mental and the map book, that's what it's about. It's about the mind, it's about awareness, it's about consciousness. So even reading books can be mentors, like, you know, like all these things. Exactly, for sure, and then other thing, people usually are, you know, they're scared of competition. They're like, okay, you know what, someone is already doing it, how am I gonna do it? You know, I mean, when we got into the business, there were already people doing it before us, but we were never really scared of the competition. Because we always believed in our own product and our own strategies and our own, you know, work ethics. That, you know, like my dad never really thought of there was any competition for us.
Exactly.
So don't think of it that, you know, there is. Don't be scared of competition. Don't let those things scare you, and not make you that, not get you to make that move.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
exactly. No, it's true, because people look for reasons, why they shouldn't start, right?
It's like all their mind that they're playing with. Exactly. Honestly, if you look at it, it's just their mind telling them, oh, don't go there or don't do this, because there's already people doing it. Like, when I got into real estate, people were like, oh, why would you get into real estate? Everybody's in it. Like, and I was like, I mean, that's like, I wanna do it too. I wasn't really like, okay, there could be 100 realtors selling homes right now, but I'm different. I'm better than them. Like, having that mindset was one of the most important things too, right?
For sure.
Also,
and now you even have you specialize with flipping. Of course, I'm sure you do other types of real estate, but you're an expert in the flipping, right? So now when people are thinking flipping, then they have you in mind, right? Because you actually grow your awareness in that field, right?
Exactly. Also, here I'm just sharing some of the other.
Oh, thanks, man. No, I appreciate it, man. That's what the world talks about.
I picked on these things along the way. Is that be selfish. To be honest, be selfish. Where when it comes to let's say if you have some work to do, and your friends are calling you, or you have people telling you, oh, let's hang out, and be selfish during that time, and tell them, you know what, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Make sure your work is your priority, and being selfish is okay when it comes to as long as it's bringing you some benefit to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay, right? Like you would have people. I've had friends where they're like, oh, how come we never see you?
Yeah.
We're having a party on the weekend. You never came up, and this and that. And I'm just like, I was busy. I was at work, right? And because that's more important to me, because I'm gonna make some money off there, and it's gonna help me. It's gonna help my bank account, right?
Exactly.
If I was spending that time hanging out and wasting my time doing things, doing things which doesn't make sense, and it's not bringing anything to me. Why would I do things like that, right? I mean, you do need time to yourself and your friends and everything. I mean, everybody does, but sometimes you have to, be selfish and make that decision that, you know what, I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna work on a project, or make these extra phone calls and get more clients in, and show these houses to this client. Like things like that, right?
For sure.
And get used to being rejected. I don't know why people are scared of getting rejected. And they think, oh, rejection is like the end. That's it. I'm failed in life. I can't do anything after this, right? So it's okay to be rejected. It's okay to make mistakes and things like that, right? There's a saying about do what you love, right? And you have, but I personally believe you should do what you love, but at the same time, sometimes you have to do things which you hate. Like for example, like you have to hate and then you get results. So what I mean by that is, let's say for example, you want 6-pack abs, you want a nice, buffed up body, right? What do? You work hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
you gotta sacrifice.
You gotta sacrifice. You gotta work hard. You gotta go out, run. Make sure you burn enough calories. You're lifting weight, all that. That's all. You're going through that pain process, right? Which I'm sure nobody loves.
Of course.
Nobody loves going through that pain process. But
the results they love.
It's like you hate that process, but the results they bring in. Is how you're like, okay, you know what? I finally achieved something.
Exactly.
I worked so hard that I went out every morning, 5 in the morning, running out. And then I finally lost 20 pounds. My shirts are finally fitting me. The feeling that you get, right? So it's like you have to do things what you hate sometimes.
Exactly. No, I get you.
And I personally think 9 to 5 is a scam. It's like I would, the best way to put it, 9 to 5 job is like, it's like quicksand. It's like quicksand. So people are just kind of like, they step on the quicksand and they're just kind of like
trying to survive.
Survive. They're like, oh shit, we gotta go. It's like they're on their toes, right? So that's what I think of 9 to 5 is. It's a way where people are stuck in quicksand and they don't get out. Like it's like they never get out their whole lives.
No, for sure.
They work 40, 50 years. Starting from 18 age to like 50, 60, whatever the retirement age is, right?
65.
They work all those years, and then they finally, they're like, we never got to enjoy our lives. We just died, right? Like it's just they never saved up enough money. They probably just have one house that they just made, and those things. Because 9 to 5 is a way where once you're stuck in it, it's hard to get out.
Exactly.
And people who get out are the people who make the big bucks. Their lifestyles are better. They're much more happier. And they don't have anyone to like answer. They don't have a boss. They don't have, you gotta get out of that quicksand, man. Like that's
no, for sure. But at the same time, because there people are on all different kinds of levels, right? It's like you had your dad as a mentor who and a family line of people who are running businesses, right? But not everyone's in that situation where they could run a business. They don't have no experience of business. It's like a completely new world to them. So they're working 9 to 5 right now. But say they want to do their own business. They want to get into the business
world.
But
they're too scared to try it. That's another thing, Richard. You got to realize is that people are not. They know how. I'm pretty sure you have friends who they're passionate about starting up a business. But they're not doing it. They just have it in their mind. They're not really taking any actions for it, right? And what's happening is their time is just passing by. Year after year, months after months, year after year, right? It's like they're not making a move, right? So it's like you gotta make that move. I know it could be challenging. It could put you in a difficult situation.
Of course.
But trust me, it's gonna be worth it in the end. Like once you break through it. So
for sure, I have something I call the 3 working steps. So you work for someone, right? And then you work for yourself, and then you work with others, right? So those are like the 3 steps. So most people are on that first step, where they're working for someone, right? And you're getting that pay, right? But it's important to figure out a way to have that pay come in to leverage you to make more money, and in this case a flip is a good opportunity, right? But for them to get, like, say that 9 to 5 person that's working 9 to 5, for them to get that first flip, right? Like, that transition
saving first at the beginning of our video
comes to saving, right?
Comes to saving. You gotta save up from the beginning, right? In order.
So that's a tip that you would say right now, start saving some money to get you out of that 9 to 5 situation. Start putting some money.
It could be saving. It doesn't even have to be just for this business. It could be pretty much for any other business too. Let's say you want to start off a barber shop.
Of course.
Right? You want to start off another business. You want to open up a mechanic shop. Like, you need to save up, right?
Yeah, of course.
If you don't have the funds to start off, like how are you gonna start off that business, right? Because if you look at majority of the people, they're stuck in 2 areas. Whether they're either have 9 to 5 jobs, just the regular jobs, right? And then there's another area that they're stuck in is, I would say, a higher paying. I would still say there's still a limited growth areas. Like, for example, if you're a doctor, let's say you're the best doctor, you would probably make $500,000, whatever amount that you're gonna make. But then people need to know there's 2 different areas as well where you could make bigger chunk of money. Where you could be investor.
Exactly.
Because investor makes the most amount of money.
Because they're putting money to work,
right? They're putting their money to work. And then there are people who have businesses which are like 500 plus people employed in there, right? So those are the people making the majority of the money. Versus where majority of the people like to go is, I need to just find a really good job, which pays me $100,000. I'm happy. Like, with that, you're never gonna get to the next level of making bigger chunk of money.
Exactly.
You have to get to that stage, you have to do something different.
Pretty much, you don't use all the money that you're earning. Don't use it all for yourself. Put money aside for other things, right?
Exactly.
So if you're making $100,000 a year, right, and you say, okay, $100,000 a year, say, okay, from this 100, I want to put aside a certain amount so I could go get a property, or I want to put this money aside so I could go start my business or whatever, and then you could have that grow, and as that grows, then you alleviate more of your time, right? No, for sure. Thank you for those tips, and I want to actually go into, because wealth, and one thing that we really want to emphasize within Create Wealth Network is wealth is not only financial wealth. Wealth is well-being, right? And one thing that I noticed from you throughout this whole wealth talk that we've been having is you've been talking about your dad a lot, you've been talking about your brother a lot, right? So like relationships, I want you to go and tell me more about how important your relationships are, because this obviously has a lot to do with everything else that you do. Like it has a lot to do even with your financial aspect in wealth and stuff, right? So talk to me more about your relationship.
So I personally think your family plays one of the most important roles for your growth, because if you're not mentally stable, you won't survive, right? So having having the family, to motivate you, and at the same time, they need to be on the same mindset as you. So for example, I get my energy from my dad.
Okay.
Like he's like son to me. Yeah. That I'm getting all the energy from him. He's like a son, and I'm just taking his energy. And I'm the moon. Like that.
Yeah. No, I get you. I know, right? For sure. Yeah.
His mentality, like his strategies and everything, is what I've learned from, and he has brought me up to that stage where I have the mindset that I have today. So your family has to be on the same level when it comes to for you to grow.
Yeah.
Right.
And how's that relationship like? Like is he like straightforward to you, or does he is he does he have come with a soft approach, or how's his approach? Like when for you to really
change from time to time.
Okay.
So at the beginning, when you're a kid, sometimes you're making mistake, and then they're kind of harsh, they're a little hard on you.
Yeah.
Right. And it's I think personally, sometimes it's good to be hard on your kids. Honestly, some people I've seen, they're like, oh, we're not gonna touch them, we're not gonna tell them anything, and it's
Yeah.
That way, if you're like that, it's you're kind of spoiling your kids.
Yeah.
Because their mind is gonna grow into that, right?
Like you were saying, you and your brother were going in with the concrete bags inside. He had you guys doing the labor work.
He would be like, wake up, get up, we're gonna go work, right? And it's 6, 7 in the morning. Sometimes we're at Home Depot shopping, and me and my brother, we're just yawning, sleeping, right? You're sleeping in the car and just.
But now you do that automatically. No one's waking you up. You have that mental thing saying, yo.
Having that phase, where you need sometimes to. Your parents, because parents play a very big role in your life, right? Because you were around them most of the time, and you learn from them.
Yeah.
So.
And what about your brother? Because you talk about him a lot as well. You guys, would you say that you guys?
He's a very hardworking guy, man.
Nice.
Probably he works harder than me.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you try to feed off that energy, right?
But his hard work is he believes in physical hard work.
Yeah.
Where he's doing physical stuff, but for me it's more mental. Yeah. I like to do things which are done. I try to find solution to a problem where it's done the most easiest way, where I don't even need to be there. I'm the lazy guy, but then I try to find the solutions that way.
Oh, nice.
Where I'm working for my brain.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
If they're for example, when I give you an example of my moving business that I started off with.
Yeah.
So I was making $500, $600, $700 just off these two guys that I was paying $100 each, or not even $80 each, and I was still making a good chunk of money while I was doing other things with it. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I. That's me.
Nice.
Where I could turn things into auto mode, and I believe in automation. You let them run on their own, and you're making the money, or your work is just getting done on its own.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. That's
especially when it comes to money too, where in flipping or other stuff investments, your money is working for you, whether you're sleeping, whether you're awake. Your money is still just working for you.
No, for sure.
That's what I believe in.
No, I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much, Dhruv.
No problem.
I appreciate this is Wealth Talk, and we're definitely going to have you come back as well. Get more tips and tricks. But if you can, just share how do people reach out to you? How do they get your information, your email, your Instagram, or whatever?
Sure. So you could follow.
Look at that camera right there. Yeah.
Okay.
or here. It doesn't
So my name is Dhruv Miglani, and you can reach out to me at 647-401-4699. I am a real estate broker, so if you're looking to either buy or sell, I can definitely help you out. And whether you're trying to get into flipping business, we do have the experience and the knowledge. And if you would like to learn more about it, you can give me a call, 647-401-4699. My Instagram page is dhruv.miglani, so you could follow up. I tend to like post a lot of information there as well.
Nice. Even this good content you've been sharing with us.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely share it with on there too.
Well, thank you very much. This is Wealth Talk, our first episode, Dhruv. Right now we're in COVID, so we're not shaking, but I wave to you and I thank you very much, man. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it, man.
Take care. Thank you so much, guys.